Hello class 9. Today we are going to look into lesson number 5, that is primary sector. And we all know that primary sector is actually related to agriculture. You will find this lesson in your book on page number 81. Okay, so let's get into the lesson. Now primary sector, like I said, is totally all about agriculture. Alright. Now, what is agriculture? That is the question that creeps up in our mind. So agriculture has been simply defined as the science and art of cultivating the soil. So when you work on the soil, when you try to get produce out of the soil, that is simply called agriculture. There is a person who defined agriculture, and that person is George O'Brien, and according to him, agriculture includes all those industries which aim to produce vegetables or animals by cultivating the soil. Okay, so in other words, agriculture is the business of raising products from land. Okay, so this is agriculture. Now we are going to see the contribution of agriculture. How has agriculture contributed as a sector in the economy? So there are certain points that we are going to see. Let's look into them one by one. The first one is source of employment. Basically, agriculture is considered to be a very great source of employment. That means, see, India is a country which is predominantly, on agriculture. It is an agricultural country. Okay, and about 60% of the Indian land is also, available for the purpose of agriculture. Now what happens is that most of the people in the villages, especially around 66% of the population in our country, which is depending for their livelihood, is totally depending on agriculture. So around 66% people in our country are doing agriculture. So for many people, agriculture is a source from where they earn their living. Next is industrial development. Now agriculture plays a role of for industrial development. Actually, agro-based industries depend on agriculture. So that is why we can say that agriculture helps in industrial development, because all the agro-based industries, like agro-based industries are those industries which get their raw materials from agriculture. For example, cotton, jute, silk, and tea, coffee, rubber, sugar. These are and even edible oils, like sarson ka tel, that we say in English, it's called mustard oil. That is all from agriculture. So these are examples of agro-based industries. So basically, agriculture supports, it actually provides a market for the industries. Okay, so therefore it leads to industrial development. The next one is that role of agriculture in trade. Okay, so how does agriculture play an important role in internal and external trade of the country? That we are going to see here. See, basically the contribution of agriculture in India's export, the total export is around 70%. Okay, so agriculture is actually helping the country to earn foreign exchange, because what happens, whatever we are producing here, we are trying to send it to other countries. So when we try to export our goods, then of course our country is going to earn foreign exchange. Next is self-sufficiency in food production. Now in India, large proportion of income is actually spent on food, and the population is increasing every day. Right. So most of our income is spent on food, and on the other hand, the population is increasing. Therefore, the demand of food grains will definitely increase day by day, right? It will increase at a faster rate. So what happens is that agriculture plays a very big role in becoming self-sufficient in producing food. Seeing the demand of the country, seeing that the country is almost wanting to have a lot of food grains, so that there is no shortage of food grains, the agricultural sector tries to become self-sufficient in food production. Okay, alright. Next is contribution to national income. National income is the income of the country, okay, whatever the country is earning. So basically our country, agricultural sector in Indian economy is contributing quite high, around 6.1%. It is giving a lot of, the world's average is 6.1%, and our Indian agriculture is giving way more than that. It's giving higher than the world's average of 6.1. That means in the world, agricultural sector generally gives a 6.1% of national income to their countries, to different countries, but in India it is more than that. So basically in India, our country is earning more from the agricultural sector. Okay. In your books on page 83, point number 5, you will find some data. Please underline those data and remember the percentage and the year. Okay. Next is source of government revenue. So agriculture is one of the major sources for both the central as well as the state governments of our country. It's a great source of revenue. So major part of the income of the central and state government is coming from land revenue. That means from agriculture, from the taxes imposed on agriculture related commodities, then irrigation charges. These are all different kinds of revenues, and even from they are earning also from the export duties while sending commodities, agricultural commodities, to other countries. So all of this, it really helps the state as well as the central government to earn a lot. Okay. Next is economic planning. So basically agricultural's role in economic planning is also there. So planning in India actually depends on the agricultural sector. Okay. So a good crop brings a good amount of finance to the government. We all know that. Okay, we just studied about the contribution of agriculture to the national income. We also saw that agriculture is a great source of revenue for the government. So that is why we can say that if crops are good, then amount of finance that will come to the government will also be good. And that means that the government really needs to plan on helping the agricultural sector grow. That means the government needs to plan about the expenditure that they are going to do for the agricultural sector. So what happens is, if there are bad crops, they lead to a depression in the business. Okay, so which ultimately means economic planning is very poor, and there is a failure in the economic planning. That means the government has not properly planned the economy, not properly planned their finances for helping out the agricultural sector. So these are the things that the government needs to plan. So if the crops are good, the government is going to invest more and more into the plantation of crops and everything. Therefore, to spend a lot of money on agriculture, they also need to plan a lot. This is what is the role of agriculture in planning, economic planning. And the last point is market for industrial products. So agriculture actually provides a big market for the industrial product. Okay. Most of the population in India, that means around 2/3 population in India, lives in the rural areas, which actually has increased the demand for different types of industrial products. Okay. On the other hand, if we see very clearly that demand for various products like cycles, clothes, detergents, television, torches, all of this has increased. Okay, everything is increasing. The demand is increasing. So similarly, the demand for variety of agricultural goods is also increasing day by day. Okay, so what is happening? Now farmers are needing chemicals, they need fertilizers, they need tractors, they need pumps for water. Okay, they need pesticides, they need the high yielding variety of seeds. So even the industries which do work for agriculture, which produce such agricultural products, those industries are also flourishing because of agriculture, because agriculture is a sector which is needing all these things. Okay, so the industries which are producing these things are really helping out the agricultural sector in increasing or expanding the market. Alright students, the next topic that we are going to see in this lesson is the problem of Indian agriculture. Now what are the problems that we see particularly in the agriculture of India? Okay, we are not talking about general agriculture of the world, we are talking about agriculture in India. So basically, as we all know, India is a country where agriculture is done mostly by the family members. Okay, and farmers, most of the farmers, they belong to rural areas. Most of the population is situated in the rural areas. So we are going to see a few problems that Indian agriculture faces. Okay, so let's see the points. The first one is limited use of technology. Now problem over here is that the Indian agriculture has the problem of limited technology. We have very conventional and simple tools that we are implementing, like things like wooden plow, we're using sickle, we don't have the latest machineries through which harvesting can be done. So there is a need of latest technology, but the problem in India is that we are still stuck to the old methods of agriculture. We are still stuck to the simple and conventional methods of agriculture, which is leading our agriculture to be a little backward as compared to the other countries. We are also so much depending upon human labor. There is a huge wastage that is done on human labor, because human labor is not able to provide more yield as compared to the latest technologies and latest machinery. So having too many labor on the land is also leading to problem in the Indian agriculture. Not a good variety and not a good yield outcome is coming from the lands. So therefore this is one problem, that technology is a little poor and very conventional methods are being used. Okay. Next problem that we see is fragmentation of land holdings. So basically division of land is done by of land by the virtue of inheritance has given rise to this problem. Actually in India what happens is division of land takes place because of the inheritance, by virtue of inheritance. Inheritance means that if there's a farmer and he has to divide the land among his 2-3 sons, then those 2-3 sons will divide their lands among their children. So this thing of division of land has created a lot of problem in the Indian agriculture. Then the size of land also becomes small. Okay, so problem is that too much of division of land among the family members, among the children, among the inheritance, by virtue of inheritance, this becomes a problem that farmers are left with small pieces of land, and small pieces of land is not going to give you a high variety of yield, or is not going to give you too much of a better outcome. So therefore this becomes a problem in Indian agriculture. The next is dependence on monsoon. Okay, dependence on monsoon. Now Indian agriculture depends a lot on monsoon. So if the monsoons are poor in a certain year, that means the farmers will have problem. Indian agriculture will also have problem, right? Weak monsoon rains will lead to crop failure. So normal monsoons also help to somehow manage the situation, but if there is a failure of monsoon, it will really impact the life of Indian laborers, Indian farmers, as well as the Indian agriculture. So our country depends a lot on monsoon, on the monsoon season, where there's a lot of rain and crops can be completely having a lot of water intake. The soil can take a lot of water. But if the monsoon season is a little of a failure, sort of, where rains are not too good and very less showers are taking place, in such a situation the farmers and the Indian agriculture is going to struggle. Okay, and not every time there is a good facility of irrigation and water. So this is another problem. The next is lack of rural credit facilities. From the government side, there is a lot of issues regarding facilities of finances for the farmers. Definitely there is this bank which is called NABARD, which is the National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development. But not every institution is really helping. Okay, so these institutions, they provide short and medium and long term credits to the farmers at low interest rate. But the problem is that the government has to ensure the availability of credit. So government has to make sure that there is this facility of credit, this facility of loan for agriculture given to the farmers. Okay, so the issue is that there are organizations But in India, the farmers, instead of depending on the organizations, instead of relying on the government, they are more depending upon the private money lenders. They are depending upon relatives. They are depending upon landlords. They are depending upon commission agencies, on traders. So these kind of people, they really charge high rates of interest, and then the farmers are not able to pay them back, which leads to problem in the process of agriculture. And even in the personal lives of farmers also, they are affected by this. We hear a lot of news about the suicide committed by farmers. Most of the suicides committed by the farmers is because of the problem of taking loans from very like private kinds of sources, and then they are not able to repay because those private sources are charging them high interest rate, and therefore they are not able to pay and they commit suicide. But the problem is proper facilities are not there for credit for the farmers. So basically then in this situation the Indian agriculture suffers. Next point is inadequate marketing facilities. Now market facilities also not good. That means proper facility of storage and all is not there. There are so many middlemen in between who try to grab the products for their personal use and send limited stock into the market. Then the problem of storage, there is no proper place. Agricultural products are kept in, the crops are kept in any kind of a place, and then they start spoiling. The entire crop starts spoiling and it becomes rotten, and then it's not of any good use. So these are some problems that show that there are inadequate marketing facilities. Okay, then the way of collection of surplus is also not proper. Facilities are not provided. The transport and communication facilities are not provided. So these are some marketing facilities which are quite inadequate, which are not properly organized and planned. Okay, next is inadequate storage facilities. Like I already mentioned in the previous point, there is a problem of storage. Okay, so see, agricultural goods, we all know they are perishable in nature. They can be very soon perished. You cannot keep them for a long period of time. Until and unless proper storage facilities are given, you cannot store agricultural products for a long period of time, right? They are perishable. So the agricultural production is also seasonal, and even if they are seasonal, like wheat is grown in a particular season, and rice is grown in a particular season, then some vegetables are grown during summers, some vegetables are grown during winters. But the problem is, even though the agricultural produce is seasonal, still the demand for all the kinds of agricultural crops is throughout the year. So the entire year people are demanding the agricultural commodities, but in reality the nature of agricultural crops is that they are seasonal. So for that purpose of fulfilling the demand of the agricultural goods, there has to be proper warehouse or a place where, a correct place where storage can be done, so that at the right time things can be brought out into the market. Okay, but the problem is that the farmers, they don't have their own facilities of storing. So because they don't have their own facilities of storing, they are forced to sell their products, I mean their crops, very soon at very low prices. And because they sell, they are scared that if our crops are spoiled, they will be of no use. So better to sell at a lower price than to keep them for spoiling. So they sell it in the market at lower prices, and because they are selling it at lower prices, they are not able to earn any profit. Therefore, again the agriculture and the farmers, they struggle. So these are the problems of Indian agriculture. Now we are going to talk about government measures which have been brought into action to improve the agricultural production. So there are certain points that we are going to look into. Please open your books to page number 86, where you are going to find the different 86, 87, and further you are going to find different points where you will see that the government has taken measures in order to bring an improvement in the agricultural production. Now the first point that we are going to see is the use of HYV seeds. What are the HYV seeds? HYV seeds are the high yielding variety seeds. That means these seeds are those seeds which bring better quality agricultural crops. Okay. So what has the government done? First of all, the government and the state and the central government have tried to bring in lots of steps. Okay, they are promoting high yielding variety of seeds in the entire country by removing the old variety of seeds and providing discounted providing these seeds, HYV seeds, at discounted rates. Okay, so that farmers can easily buy, and then also subsidies are being provided by the government. Then another thing is that government is also encouraging the research institutes uh, and the other agricultural universities to themselves develop HYV seeds for the country. That means on the basis of the conditions of our Indian nature of agriculture and on the basis of the weather of our country, all these conditions are to be kept in mind. But research institutes based on agriculture and agricultural universities can develop HYV seeds. The next point is use of fertilizers. Okay, so basically government has taken some steps over here for the purpose of fertilizers. For example, they have provided neem coated urea to the farmers, okay, for agriculture. Then soil health card is provided, so that with that they can use proper fertilizers according to the health of the soil. Okay, then there is a yojana that is called Paragat Krishi Vikas Yojana, PKVY, which is a great financial assistance for this purpose. Okay, then under the national project on management of soil health and fertility, there is a provision made for the promotion of organic fertilizer up to 500 rupees per hectare. So per hectare they get 500 rupees for this purpose. So there are many more steps that the government has taken. You can go through them in your books on page number 86. Next point is use of insecticides. Now in this also government has taken certain steps. For example, one such step is that the Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee, that is the CIBRC, they regulate pesticide use in India. Okay, so they are trying to make the farmers aware about these biopesticides that can be used easily in the process of farming, and also they are quite available in the market. They have made it available in the market. Also the government has taken another step that the farmers and pesticide dealers are being trained. They are being trained for the purpose of like how to use it judiciously, safely, how to use it, the pesticides and insecticides. So sometimes for 2 days, sometimes for 5 days, such workshops are organized where people are taught about the use and importance of insecticides. Next is better irrigation facilities. So our government has also taken steps to improve the facility of irrigation in India. For example, I'll just share a few of them. Like one is they have encouraged all the citizens, farmers and societies to use micro water management measures. Okay, so that means they are trying to help and promote more of rainwater harvesting. They are trying to ask the farmers to use groundwater, drip irrigation and sprinkler irrigation instead of depending upon monsoons. Then government is also implementing yojanas where money is provided to them for irrigation. Okay, then they are also trying to formulate policies and programs which share the equitable sharing of water is done, and groundwater and other forms of waters are sent to the farmers through irrigation facility. So lots of things have been done. Then the our earlier finance minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, he announced during his time of being a finance minister, and when he was alive, he announced the measures of promoting and improving the irrigation facilities in the country by giving 17,000 crore rupees to do this irrigation program, which is called Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. So under this he provided 17,000 crore rupees for better irrigation facilities. Then the next point is adoption of technology. So government has taken a lot of steps with regard to latest technology. That means the farmers are being encouraged to use technology to provide technical knowledge for better farming. Then farmers are being encouraged to use disease resistant seeds, which are called the HYV seeds. We already talked about them. Then soil testing, the quality of soil is to be tested, so that productivity can increase. So techniques and technology is given for that also. So there are lots of other things that the government is doing. Next is the government has set up agricultural research centers and institutes. There are different institutes, like for example Indian Agricultural Research Institute. Then there is many other institutes like ICAR, which is an agricultural university. So there are scientific organizations, there are departments, lots of voluntary organizations also, who are working for the best productivity from agriculture, or for the purpose of development of agriculture. Lots of schemes are brought into action through the National Agricultural Research System. So these are different things that the government is trying their best to do. Then provisions and expansion of rural credit facilities. That means the government is also trying to provide with the best financial facilities also, like NABARD was set up in 1982. It is a very apex development bank to make sure that the agricultural sector runs smoothly. Then also on the other hand, regional rural banks are developed, land development banks are there, commercial banks are there, rural cooperative societies are being strengthened by the government. Also the RBI, that is the Reserve Bank of India, has also advised the banks to provide security, that means for agricultural loans up to 1 lakh rupees. So these are some facilities that the government is trying to give for the purpose of better financial help to the farmers, so that our agriculture can improve. Then also Kisan credit cards were brought into action. This KCC is like an ATM card which can be used at ATM or any point of sale terminals. They can use it as a, it's not exactly an ATM, but it can be exactly used like an ATM. Okay, so these are given to the people by NABARD. Okay, NABARD is actually the one which is providing Kisan credit cards, from where they can take out money for their agricultural work. And the last thing that the government is doing is actually providing for better storage and marketing facilities. So now the government is trying to solve the problem of storage, so that crops don't spoil. Okay, so government has done a lot of development in this area also. Daily broadcasting of market prices of agricultural crops is being done, so that the farmers are aware of the price of the agricultural crops that is going on in the market. Then a proper minimum support price is done for various agricultural commodities from time to time. Okay, then transport facilities are being improved day by day. Also what is being done is the ill features or the evils of mandis that people do in mandis are being removed. Okay, and regulated markets are being set up, and they are helping to improve the marketing of agricultural produce. Also warehouses are being constructed at mandis, so that even in villages and all, so that all the crops can be safe in those storage facility, and they don't spoil very soon and easily. So these are some things that the government has been doing. The thing that we're going to see and talk about is green revolution. It's a very beautiful thing about green revolution. Basically, green revolution is quite an important feature. Okay, and it's a very important thing that really brought a change in the Indian agriculture. Okay, but the only feature and only important thing about green revolution is that green revolution is restricted to only food grain crops. That means like bajra, jowar, rice, wheat, maize. It's quite restricted to this. Okay, but we're going to see what is green revolution. So the green revolution was actually a period, it was a time when the productivity of global agriculture increased drastically as a result of new advances. Now because of new technologies, new advances and new ways and methods of techniques of doing agriculture were brought into action in this period of time, it helped to really boost up the produce of agriculture in our country and the economy. So this is green revolution actually, and we are going to see the impact of green revolution, what actually the green revolution did to the agricultural sector of our country. So what is the impact? The first impact is boost in production of food grains. Okay, so actually the major achievement of green revolution has been an increase in the production of food grains. Okay, so new agricultural strategy, because of that new agricultural strategy there was a lot of increase in the food grains. Like from 82 million tons of production, it changed to 176 million tons. Then it also increased to 210 million tons, then 252 to million tons, which is a huge amount of production. So this was a big achievement of the green revolution, that India has become very self-sufficient in the production of food grains. Next impact is the large increase in productivity. So actually because of the new technology that was brought into action, and also the high yielding variety seeds that were there, they have really helped in boosting the productivity. Okay, so it had a positive impact on the food grain productivity of our country. So it kept increasing, from 851 kg to 1630 kgs, then 2281 kgs, and it kept increasing time to time. So this increase shows that green revolution was really helpful for the Indian agriculture. Next is change in agricultural practices. Actually, see, not only did green revolution help in increasing the food grains and increasing the productivity, but also it helped in changing the agricultural practices. That means the old conventional methods were stopped, the traditional agricultural inputs were changed, and new methods, scientific based inputs and practices were done. So instead of the traditional inputs like farm seeds, organic manures, and all these kinds of old methods, instead of this the farmers started using HYV seeds. They started using pesticides, insecticides, chemicals, fertilizers, which really helped in boosting the agricultural produce. Next is change in the crop pattern. So basically, firstly, what happened is there were two changes that actually green revolution brought. The first change was that the proportion of cereals in the food grains output has increased and the proportion of pulses has decreased. So cereals in the food grains increased more as compared to the pulses. Okay. Second thing that happened in the crop pattern, the second thing that took place was that within cereals the proportion of wheat in the cereals production has increased while the proportion of coarse grains has decreased. So there was a change in the pattern, that more of cereals were being productive, more of cereals were being coming as an output. They were increasing in their production as compared to the pulses. Okay. Next is increased demand for industrial products. So this new agricultural technology has created actually a big demand for the resources like pesticides, insecticides, agricultural tools, machineries, fertilizers. All of this is needed for better agricultural produce in green revolution. So because these are the resources that are needed, these resources are produced by industries, and as a result what happened, that industries started producing these modern farm inputs, and they have been expanding day by day. So every day, because the demand is increasing for such industrial products, industries are growing day by day. So not only agriculture grew, but through green revolution also there was a thing of improvement in the industrial sector also. Okay, so students, this is the lesson about primary sector, about agriculture. There will be another video about food security that we are going to study in detail. So I hope you have understood the lesson till here. All the best.